Good morning, Judy. How are you? Good to see you. Good morning, Melanie. Hello, hello. See if I can get this closed over here. There we go. Perfect. And good morning, everybody who's watching us on Clouthub. If you would like to chat with us, since we can't chat right now on Clouthub in the system, just go over to YouTube, the Susan Knowles channel, SUSANKNOWLES, and you can join us and chat there with us. Hey, Paula, good morning. Happy Friday to you. How's everybody doing? Glad to see that Facebook and YouTube are up. Hey, Robin, good to see you. Kathy McPherson, good morning. At the top of the screen, for those who are coming in on Facebook from another platform, let's say the Trump 2024 platform, if you see the up at the top, it said chat.restream.io/Facebook. If you click on that, then you can set it up where I can see your name and profile from the Trump train. Right now, I'm not able to do that. It'll just say Facebook user, but this way it'll give you an identity if you want to go and click on that. Any good news in the news? Well, Melanie, that's hard to say. Hey, Boston T, good morning. Good morning, Liz W. Good morning, Diana. Good to see everybody. All right, quickly, we're going to read with people coming in. Psalm 15. Lord, who may abide in your tabernacle? Who may dwell in your holy hill? He who walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart. He who does not backbite with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord. He who swears to his own hurt and does not change, he who does not put out his money as usury, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall never be moved. Amen. Amen. All right. How is everybody this morning? Good to see you, Gary. Debbie Treadway. Promise Susan getting Promise Eyes will be on the road just listening. Oh, getting gas. Promise Eyes. I guess you're saying something else, but it came out Promise Eyes. Good to see you, Debbie. And I know you're traveling today. Safe travels for you. How exciting. I love to travel. I really do. I'm going to travel over to Florida, I think, and move there. It's getting to be a little bit much every day. And I keep wanting to go towards the east and move to Florida. I know everybody has their different opinions about Florida, and I get it. I'm used to humidity, or at least I grew up in it. I don't like it, but I also don't like being in lockdown and being in jail all the time either. All right. So this morning we have CPAC that's going. Just finished watching JG's sermon on abundance. Very, very good. Yep. I heard that last night. Good. Get away from California, Robin said. Yeah, I know. Oh, all right. So the left was going crazy this morning, and let me show you their hypocritical statements. Let me bring this up for you, and let me play this. Here we go.
Throw it up, Trump, throw it up.
Awesome.
That is so cool.
We the people.
That is so cool.
4 years.
That's probably really cool too.
So as you can see, did you see this guy here? He's an attorney of some sort, and he's a liberal, obviously. It says, seriously, did these folks not read the Old Testament? You know, anytime that the left, especially the globalist, elitist left, talks about religion, you have to laugh. They're so hypocritical. Like, the only time they think about religion is when they're trying to use it against someone. Kelly said, welcome to Florida. Chesney said, recovering from a migraine, but I'm going for a walk. I'm listening in. Cool. I wrote down below, it said, seriously, did these folks not read the Old Testament, implying that this was an idol that people were going to idolize, that the conservatives. And I wrote, did you read the part in the Old Testament in Leviticus about Moloch? Your party and your president seem to embrace the concept. So sorry that I had to say that to them. You can see what I wrote right there. I just get sick of the hypocrisy. And these people on the left, maybe even this guy who wrote this and posted it, they are so pro-abortion. And the faux president is so pro-abortion. Seriously, did they not read God hates hands who shed innocent blood? No, apparently not. I mean, like I say, they read the parts in the Bible, if at all, what they can use against conservatives, they think. And that's about it. Otherwise, I don't even know that they ever even pick up the book. All right. So I told you yesterday about a video from Jack Hibbs. And I said, you really, 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 really have to see this video. Good morning, Sissy. How are you? Sissy said, good morning, Susan and everyone. So I have the link for you today. And they posted it yesterday. And it's called I Have Made You a Watchman. And I'm going to put the link. I already had it at the top. Well, no, I didn't. Okay, sorry. I'm going to put this link in for you so that you can go watch it today, please. Hey, Rue, good to see you. Please go watch it today. It's amazing. It's very direct. He's very forthright. He doesn't hold back. He talks about what he believes is coming. Judy said, best sermon he's done as of yet, in my opinion. It was good. I watched it, Diana said. We need more pastors to speak up like he does. That was a great video from Pastor Jack, Sissy said. If all of the Christian pastors and those claiming to be pastors would talk like this, Bruce said she saw it live. Yeah, so did I. We would have less problems in the church today and in what's coming towards Christians. We need leaders like Pastor Jack. Satan himself knows the Bible better than me. Exactly, Boston T. Thanks for the link, Susan. You are welcome, Gary. And share it with everybody. I didn't see it yesterday in the very beginning. As I told you, it wasn't there. And I called the church and I said, is he going to be posting that today? It's like, let's get it out here. I want to send it to everybody. So they said, yes, we'll be posting it in the afternoon. And sure enough, that's exactly what they did. So I was glad to see that. It'll be well worth the time for you to watch it. I think I've seen it about 3 times now because I wanted to just get everything he was saying and everything that I was supposed to get. And I love it. I just love it. All right. Now, I'm going to bring up something for you to watch. That's totally disgusting, but oops. They took it down. Wait a minute. Hold on. Hold up. Tell me let's not. All right. I think it's here. All right. I'm going to play this for you. And let me see if I can pause it first. She keeps talking no matter what I do. All right. You should be able to hear this. It's good to go. Check out the equality that they went to pass. The Equality Act passed the House yesterday. We talked about that yesterday, Rue, about what the Equality Act was all about. So if you've missed it, go back and watch yesterday's show and you will hear what it's about. We need to stop that in the Senate. Don't know if they will. And it goes against Christianity and just, common sense. Thank you for the link. I'll be watching it later today. Kathy McPherson said, thank you, Kathy. All right. So here's a question I have for everybody. Do you know where your children are? And do you know what your children are learning? It's very important. And let's hear what this young lady here has to say. Okay. You should be able to hear it. Here it goes.
If you don't believe that there is white privilege, please don't teach. If you don't believe that Black Lives Matter, please don't teach. If you don't believe in systemic racism and how it negatively impacts our students of color and don't want to help dismantle those systems, please don't teach.
Okay, so there you go. I guess you should be asking yourself, who's teaching your children? Oops, it took off. I know we're homeschool. Sound is good. Yeah. Wasn't that's obviously a teacher or claims to be, like sitting in a classroom there. Oh my goodness, Judy said indoctrination centers. Yes. And I like what this guy who posted it, Jesse Kelly, let you see. It says, get your kids out of government schools. Don't indoctrinate kids is yet another example of why the right loses to the communists. Every child in every culture gets indoctrinated with something. Make sure it's your values, or your enemy will make sure it's his. The right must develop an offensive mindset. The defensive mindset is killing us. Don't demand your child's school stop teaching anti-Americanism. Do what the left has done. Infiltrate and demand they teach your values, or put them out entirely, or pull them out entirely. Even better, play offense. So, he's right. If all we do is complain about it and don't take action towards the schools, then they're going to teach your children exactly what they want. And they have been. The progressives have been teaching your children what they want them to learn since the early 1900s. So it's something that if we're serious about doing it, you really need to do something now. Rue said indoctrination centers. Oh my goodness, Judy said. Barf, Sissy said. Seriously, Paula asked. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Brian. The less public schools open, the better, Rue said. It's worse in master's programs. Chessie said. Diana said homeschooling next year. Good morning, Robin. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, this is what you're, and you notice that every time that there is something about white supremacy, or just what this woman was talking about, it's always a white person who's saying it. It's like, it's like you're talking about white supremacy and saying that all whites basically are white supremacists, and yet you yourself are white. Does any of that make sense? Did you look in a mirror before you started your TikTok on that one? Anyway, if at all possible, homeschool, Robin said. One of the things that concerns me about this is how the gender confusion junk is going to be shoved down our kids even more now, and so much more. Kathy said, just evil, evil, evil. Yeah, and I don't know if I can find it, but the other day I found, I don't think I still have it, but there was a report that came out that more and more of younger kids, like are becoming, what are they becoming? Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. I don't want to say what it is unless I can find it, but I can't. It seems that more and more of the children are no longer being heterosexual. Let's just say that they're changing, like 17% of the young people. Let me just tell you something. As a psychotherapist that worked in the schools, here's what I know about kids, teenagers, who good morning, Lynn Matthews, is who I treated mostly. Were teenagers, middle school, high school kids. They will copy what they see. For example, I had kids who were cutters. They cut themselves. And their friends in school who didn't have the same issues began cutting themselves because their friends cut themselves. So if somebody says they're bisexual, for example, and they're a teenager, another teenager may say they're bisexual because they want to fit in and they want to go along with what their peers are saying. Liz W. said, I had a town hall with Andy Biggs last night via phone. They want 20 million amnesty, police reform due to discrimination, Liz W. said. Robin said, I heard stores are getting to be forced to have a section of transgender children clothing or pay a fine. Paula said it's a form of apology when whites do this. Paula said, yeah. Judy said, let's see, brainwashing is what it is, Ruth said. Town hall with Andy Biggs, 3,500 a day, crossing borders only. Half caught, no COVID testing, and no other testing, Liz. COVID isn't the only thing, or the flu, or the virus, that may be impacting people. What about polio? What about TB? What about H1N1? I don't believe they're being tested for anything. Brian C. said, I attended a public school with my life. I graduated in 2010 in high school. I can start seeing how they we're moving towards a liberal agenda. It got worse over the years. Pull your kids out now, Brian C. said. Sent my kid to a Christian university, drummed the Bible out, social justice in. That cost me about $175,000. Woo, sorry to hear that, Boston T. Boy, in the 60s and 70s, schools were about patriotism. Yep. We, every day, we would say the Pledge of Allegiance. I don't even know if they're still doing that in schools anymore. I guess that's probably, white supremacy as well. I'm not sure what anything is anymore. And I don't think anybody else is either. That's why they are all over the place on the left. But it's, it's going to get worse. It's disgusting, whatever. Let's see. There's a new tool in the cancel culture. You probably have already heard about this, but I'm just going to bring it up and make sure we're all on the same page with this. And, you can be guaranteed that it's going to get worse with this, because it always does with the left. Banks and financial services firms, next to maybe the next to bow to woke left and will ban conservatives. And this is warned by Representative Ted Budd. He's not the only one who's warning about this. As you know, a long time ago, the different banks were going after the gun manufacturers, going after the NRA, not allowing them to have accounts there. I think they've closed, a number of them have closed President Trump's accounts. This is going to be the new cancel culture. If you can't buy, if you can't sell, if you can't do business, how do you exist? And that way, if you can't, then you're canceled. Even Christian schools are teaching social justice, etc. James R. said, yeah. My granddaughter in the 7th grade said they do the pledge, but her male civics teacher says Trump is Hitler. She gets upset because she loves Trump. Well, she should get upset. And she should go and report that to the principal's office, or better yet, the parents should. So that's ridiculous. All right. Now, yesterday, this was disgusting. I don't know if you saw this. And this is, well, we talked about that yesterday. We had Liz Cheney, who basically said that President Trump shouldn't have anything to do with the Republicans and blah blah blah. So we had somebody that spoke out about it. This is Chip Roy during a House Freedom Caucus presser yesterday. So let me bring this up for you, and you should be able to hear this.
I consider Liz a friend, and I stood on the floor with the conference defending her right to defend herself in taking what she described was a vote of conscience. I believe that's important, and so I did so. Yesterday, Liz forfeited her right to be chair of the Republican conference. You cannot stand up and make a statement that is so completely out of step with the Republican conference and where the American people who support President Trump are. I think it is unfortunate that she made those remarks. I think it was short-sighted, but I also think it was purposeful, and I think that's the problem. And I think that it is time for us to have another conversation about the leadership of the Republican conference with respect to what Congresswoman Cheney, who again I consider a friend, said. She shouldn't have said that. She did so purposely, and she did so in a way that directly undermined the conference that she leads. She did so leaving the conference meeting that she had just chaired. When our minority leader, Kevin McCarthy, had just answered the question about CPAC, and then she got the question, she said, well, that should be up to CPAC, but then paused and then launched into a diatribe about the future of where we should go with respect to President Trump, completely unnecessarily, but purposefully, having just left the very Republican conference where we were together, and in a way that is in complete opposition to where the majority of the Republican conference and the majority of Republicans are. So I think we need to have, I consider Liz a friend.
So there you go.
Stood
I think
on the
they're
floor with
going
the
to have
conference.
to, whoops, let me get this off. They're going to need to do something about people like Liz Cheney. They're going to need to go back and remove her. And I don't know, how long is Kevin McCarthy going to continue to back her up? Has anyone here know of a program called SOGI 123? It is a program used in schools in Canada. Ask Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson about the program. Never heard of that one, Gary. Let's see. The Cheney family helped bring us the endless Iraq War. They are not for the Constitution. She's a bee, Ruth said. Good for him, Judy said. Glad John Jr. ripped into her, Cully said. Yeah. And Gary is giving you a link if you'd like to go see that on YouTube. Melanie, it's too hard to explain all that in a short period of time. CPAC, just turn on your TV, Google CPAC, you'll see what it is that's going on right now. It's for conservatives. Andy Biggs suggested that possible for liability to put on gun and ammunition manufacturers for issues on Second Amendment, Liz W. said. You know, I don't want to give you a spoiler alert, for Jack Hibbs, but he talks about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is holding on by a thread. So, that should tell you. And under Biden, if you think that it's going to be all great and it's going to be something that's long lasting in the way that the country is being run now, no. So anyway, you'll see when you go and watch, Conservative Political Action Conference. But then again, Rue, she probably needs more information than that about what it is exactly. But anyway, all right. So, under President Trump, we enjoyed a long time where it seemingly we didn't have airstrikes, we didn't have wars, we didn't have different things happening. And all of a sudden, here we are, like yesterday, 36 days into the faux president. And what do we get? We get an airstrike yesterday in Syria. The Department of Defense confirms that the foe ordered U.S. airstrikes against infrastructure used by Iranian-backed militant groups in eastern Syria tonight in response to a recent attack against U.S. forces in Iraq. It just seems like they couldn't wait to get out there and start doing something. I mean, when was the last time, we were trying to get out of Syria? Now it looks like, here we are back in Syria, although what we did was kind of just a little show, if you will, show of force, because it didn't amount to anything. Laura Seligman said, confirming this scoop per a U.S. defense official, the United States has carried out an airstrike against structure belonging to Iranian-backed militia in Syria, U.S. officials tell the Reuters. So the strike was defensive in nature, but was a response to the 3 attacks endangering Americans in Iraq this month. And again, let me put you on the screen here. Jason Petrell, who is with Glenn Beck and the Blaze, he said on the airstrikes, it was a BS appearance strike, not proportional at all. 1 American died in the February 15th strike. Biden administration said they informed coalition partners, which means they told Iraq, knowing full well they'd tell the militias, so we just bombed a couple empty shacks. Targeting Americans should be a hard red line with a harder response. Iran keeps testing how far they can go with Biden, and he's failing miserably. Well, no surprise there that he's failing miserably. So you take the weapons away, police and military stand down, and open up borders with third world population. What can go wrong? Exactly, Liz. Now you got it. Robin said she found CPAC live by searching on DuckDuckGo. But they want to deal with Iran. Yes, Judy, they're going to go back and they're going to get that nuclear deal all ready to go again. And, it's where we know the world, the country, everything is headed. That's what we know. Yeah, if you go to YouTube and go look up RSBN, Right Side Broadcasting Network, RSBN, you'll find that channel, and CPAC will be on there live. What is the point of buddying up with Iran? Well, and you notice, Rue, it's kind of like we're buddying up 1 second, and we're pulling back and saying, "Oh, well, we're gonna strike you." but we're not really, as Jason Petrell said, we're really not. It's a BS thing. So it's kind of showing, oh, we're going in there and supporting the American troops, right? And they're not really. It's just all BS. It's all for show. Just like this was when this was said, the neocons. I love this. Neocons posting their L's online. I guess they're, I don't know what L's are, leftist BS. This is what David French, a leftist, said a long time ago. If Trump strikes Syria without congressional approval, his Syrian policy will be both imprudent and unconstitutional. And this is what he said yesterday. Good. Targeting our troops should carry a consequence. About Biden's strike in Syria, that, as far as I know, he didn't go and ask Congress if he could do that. So 2021 question. Can one be a neocon and still be considered a conservative like Cheney? Yeah, I think you know the answer to that, James. Oh my goodness, we have a president who warns our enemies about his plans. Well, of course, Brian, because are they really our enemies when you have an agreement with them and all that? Thank you for sharing my DLive, Gary. Late, we'll watch later. Okay, Tim, good to see you. So yeah, again, it's kind of, we're watching all of this happen like in real time. We're watching the end times taking place every hour of every day, and we're a part of it. We're here, for such a time as this. Okay. Now this is important. This is one of those interesting things that only the left would come up with, and you would have to laugh at this if it weren't true, right? Otherwise it would be like, oh, okay, this is hilarious. This must be a joke. This must be from the Babylon Bee. Well, I wish it were, but no, it's not. And it says jobless Americans can keep collecting unemployment benefits even if they turn down work for pandemic safety concerns. So if you're unemployed, most likely because let's say California shut down your business, and let's say you are an assistant, you help teachers, right? Teacher's assistant, and you're offered a job, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's a little bit too risky for me. I know kids are back in school and a lot of schools and teachers are back teaching, but I just think it's too risky. Okay, well, keep collecting your unemployment. I'm not really sure in our definition of risk these days, what job would not be risky in someone's opinion who was getting unemployment and kind of really wanted to not work. If you go to a grocery store, it's a risk. If you go to a doctor's office, it's a risk. If you go to school, churches, well, except most churches are closed. But if you go anywhere and work, it's going to be a risk for you. Now, if your job is to drive cars through a car wash, perhaps if you're all geared up in gloves, it's not as risky. But other than that, I don't know what you're going to do. I really don't. Robin said Obama always informed our enemies of what they were going to do. Exactly, Robin. Melanie said, I don't know if you can answer this question, but who do you think is controlling Biden? He has mid-stage Alzheimer's and probably Parkinson's. I don't think he is capable of making decisions. Melanie, let's just put it in a generalized term, the elitists, the globalists. Liz said, I've had many town halls with Annie Biggs. This one was not good, very edgy and concerning. Sissy said the Democrats are sleeping with the enemies. And Gary said, it is risky to cross the street. Yes, but Gary, here's what might be a good job for somebody. Let's say your job is to be a food tester, okay, at a restaurant. So those restaurants that are open, you could go and sit down at the table, and you are not going to get COVID, because we all know that when you're eating at a table with your mask removed, the virus is not going to bother you. We know that for a fact. We've been told that because we can sit at a table, eat across the table from somebody else closer than 6 feet, and everything's fine. Thank you for the halftime report, Rue. Thank you very much. If everybody would please share this program. And James, Melanie, to answer your question, James is saying that it's the third term of Barry that is controlling the faux president. But you have to understand that Barry is also controlled, James, in my opinion, and he was when he was in the White House. So there's somebody above him, a higher pay grade, if you will. Gary said the virus is very smart, very cordial and courteous, Gary, as well, and is not given to obeying curfew. Right? Because the virus comes out after the curfew. So if you are out during a curfew, the virus is going to get you, right? That we know that because of the actions of the virus. Do you mean Andy Biggs is fishy? I thought he was a patriot, Robin said. Robin's asking that question to Liz W. Rue said, I think he does anything he's told by any leftist. There you go, Rue. I see Dr. Seuss has gotten fired for racial undertones, Gully said. Barry said his third term would be someone else that he could tell what to do. He wasn't joking. Yeah, he wasn't joking, Robin. And again, I do believe that, but I also think Barry is controlled. I mean, Barry's getting his orders from somebody else and then passing them along to the foe, no doubt. But he's not doing it all on his own. All right. Now, for those of you, again, the virus has given you so many opportunities that you just don't even know about. So you got to thank the virus. Here's something else that is not being reported too much. So the virus bill, the one that the Democrats are working on, would pay federal employees to stay home with their kids. Now, again, that's all because of the virus. So federal workers with children enrolled in a school that has not resumed full-time in classroom instruction would be eligible for an enhanced paid time off. Not you, not anybody else, but the federal government workers. The perk buried on page 305 of the $1.9 trillion virus package would set aside $570 million for an emergency federal employees leave fund. And the employees would be eligible to receive the money if caring for school-age children who are not physically in school. Now, the other parents who are not federal workers, you got to do what you got to do, right? If you're going back to work and your kids are at home, your kids are probably going to sit there all by themselves because you're going to go to work. Why? Because you don't get money in your pocket to raise your kids when they're not in school, like the federal workers will get if this stimulus package passes. Now, also it says that full-time federal employees would be able to take up to about $35 an hour and $1,400 a week through September 30th. That would amount to 15 weeks and 600 hours in paid leave. Again, you're not getting that, but, you know, some are more equal than others, and they slip that into the package, hoping no one would see it. Now I know how the people of Hong Kong felt, Liz W. said. Yeah, make no mistake, the Lord God of the Bible is controlling all that comes to pass. Well, Rhonda, he is allowing it. Yes, I believe that. It's not to say that he's doing it, but he is absolutely allowing it. Brian C. said we should not pay federal workers to stay home to do that work. They can go into the office like everyone else. Or can they? I mean, isn't it too risky, Brian? Wouldn't it be better to be unemployed and getting paid instead of going in and risking it in the federal government? Being sarcastic. My daughter-in-law is now a stay-at-home mom because she gets more in unemployment than for working, Robin said. And that's not how it was ever intended to be. But that's how the Democrats always allow it to happen and work out. All right. Now, I want to laugh at this because in some ways it's deserving, but in some ways it's not. This is what came out yesterday. Let me get this off the screen. I thought it was a little hilarious and where the Democrats are. China gave the faux president officials anal COVID swab tests in error. So, when they arrived there in China, they were told to, bend over and take it. And the Chinese government has promised now to the faux president to stop using anal swabs on American diplomats to test for the virus after Washington complained that the practice was undignified. That was from the U.S. State Department. The State Department never agreed to this kind of testing and protested directly to the Minister of Foreign Affairs when he learned that some staff, were subject to it. And why didn't they just say, you're not sticking that up there? But no, they probably just allowed it to happen. The Lord also wants us to open eyes and not sit on our hands. That's true, Robin. Judy is laughing. How can we soul win nowadays? Troll dim sites. I don't know about that, Rue. I don't know if anybody over there is listening. Kay said they are getting folks ready for the sustainability paychecks. Yes, Kay. Good point. Sissy's laughing. There was no mistake. China did that on purpose. And you have to wonder, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist about any of this, but you have to wonder when you're putting something in a certain place, which goes right into the bloodstream. If I were these people, I would have a blood test as soon as I got back home and find out if anything is going on. Just, I'm just saying. I would just have a little test done. All right. Now, you may be wondering, after the USPS did such a great job in delivering all of those mail ballots during the election, and delivering them to sometimes places unknown and to sometimes picking up or sending them someplace, that type of thing. What are they up to now? Well, here's what they're up to. Look, this is the new next generation USPS delivery vehicle coming to your neighborhood by 2023. Isn't that just an amazing looking vehicle? They did a little vote on it and said, is it sleek and cool or is it an ugly duckling? More thought it was an ugly duckling. I think I would be in that category of saying, to me, it looks like an ugly duckling. But, were any tests found positive? Who knows, Sissy? Who's going to talk about that? Sheep just bend over for anything, Robin said, and Melanie is laughing. So, yeah, when you see those great looking trucks, those mail trucks in your neighborhood, I'm sure you're just going to be blown away by them. A good use of our taxpayer dollars. Wow. Unbelievable. Not sure why they're designed like that, what the purpose is, but anyway. All right. So looks like it's from the 50s. It looks terrible. Talk about a sleek design. Not. This is some badass humor, Robin said. Yes, the bend over the anal COVID test. All right. Now, let's talk about Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said, whatever virus vaccine is available, take it. Take it, take it, take it. Regardless of which one, take it. Even if you don't need it, take it. Even if you don't want it. No, wait, he didn't say all that. But anyway, he said the top U.S. infectious disease expert, which he is by no means an expert, told NBC on Thursday a third vaccine is becoming available is nothing but good news and would help control the pandemic. Wow, wow, wow. Can you just get vaccinated up? Can we just give everybody a vaccine for everything? He warned people not to hold off on getting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine while waiting for the slightly more effective Pfizer or Moderna shots. So, go out, get your shot, do whatever, just keep getting your shots. And I guess, get whatever shot is available. And even if it's not available, find a shot. That's his good news for the day. No, thanks, Judy said. No, Robin said, doesn't look aerodynamic to me and the mail truck. No, it doesn't. Fauci's a calming full stop, Gary said. Dr. Falsey, Rhonda said, let's watch him take it. Well, let's just say that's wrong, Melody. If he did take it, how would you know if he did or not? Because you can also take saline shots and you'd never know. Sissy said, boo to Dr. Falsey. Yes, exactly. Let's see. Fauci has given a name. This is really something. I guess there's what he's calling a tortuous cycle of debilitating brain fog, fatigue, and muscle pain for some people following the virus. And this is why he wants you to get, the vaccine. But that torturous cycle, as he's calling it, was at one time called long COVID. And now they're calling it PASC, which is the post-acute sequela of the SARS-CoV-2 infection. So it has a cute little name already. Isn't that amazing? Aren't you glad? So that we can continue to hear about it long after it's over, which it's been long over for a while. Flu season's coming to an end and all that. And this is where long-term effects of COVID-19 given a name by the experts, Fauci, because it's, that's what experts do. When Ed Hornick first tested positive for COVID-19 last January, he assumed that one day he'd feel better, but a year later, like millions of others who got the virus, he's still sick. So they had to name it after PASC, and thank goodness we have Dr. Fauci who can come up with those cute little names like that. Robin said, I will say my brother is in a nursing home and got the shot. And since they have given in home, my sister has got no calls with others getting the virus. Well, of course not, Robin. I'm not taking any vaccines. I'm not trying to stay around here. Rue said, there you go, Rue. Dr. Fauci needs to sit down and shut up. Listen to the doctors that are fighting this virus. Melanie's with you, Rue. Good morning, Ron. Dr. Falsley, yes. Gary says, Bill Gates. Bill Gates. That is a show in and of itself. Okay, so here I have some more information from you. I would probably list this under the topic of, wow, it's a miracle. And you'll see what I mean. It says, not a single case of influenza has been detected by public health officials in England for the past 7 weeks. 685,243 samples that have been reviewed at the labs so far. And not a single case of the flu. Isn't that amazing? It would be amazing if it were true. Okay, so let's look at some more info here. We'll turn to Florida for the time being. Yeah, it was great. DeSantis said he couldn't see why anybody would want to leave Florida. All right, so a lot of people want to get that jab. A Florida official who set up a vaccine site for affluent zip codes and created a VIP list is under investigation, the sheriff's office said. There was an actual a woman who is being accused of setting up a special list for those people who are in a special zip code, richest zip codes, and put them on a VIP list. So she's in trouble right now. So I would say that those people who are on that list, I'm not sure you're going to really appreciate being on that list. Judy said, funny how that works. The flu is cured. Yep. Told you. Yep. Amazing. It like I said, I put it under the category of it's a miracle. I mean, how else would something like that happen? All right, let's talk about, let's turn to Israel right now. Get this out here. All right. What's happening in Israel? Well, it looks like that protesters are demonstrating against the virus coercion and green passports in Tel Aviv. Huh. You as you know, in Israel, unfortunately, it seems that from all that we're hearing, that Netanyahu is using his people as guinea pigs. He got the virus jab from Pfizer and agreed to give it to all of his people. And then afterwards, he is going to be testing, sort of seeing who's dead, who's alive, who has this, who has that, and giving all this information to Pfizer. So, and from what I've seen, if in Israel, if you don't take the jab, then you're going to be not able to go to different places. You may not be able to buy, may not be able to sell, go to certain events and things of that nature. So these people are protesting and speaking out because silly them. They're not interested in getting a quote unquote vaccine, which is many are calling gene therapy, when they don't know what's in it, when most people like Pfizer and Moderna and Johnson & Johnson really can't describe very well what's in it themselves. Silly people. They're using common sense. How silly. Good news is the flu has been cured. Bad news is, I know, Rhonda. Mandatory. Yep, that's highly disturbing in my spirit. Yes, well, it should be. It absolutely should be. Okay, so we have gone past the time for the reading. So let me go over here and get this set up, and we will do the reading. All right, here we go. We are in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, Worship and the Lord's Supper. Imitate me just as I also imitate Christ. Head coverings. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things and keep the traditions just as I delivered them to you. But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. But every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head, for that is one and the same as if her head were shaved. For a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it is shameful for a woman to be shorn or shaved, let her be covered. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, since he is the image and glory of God, but woman is the glory of man. For man is not from woman, but woman from man. Man created for the woman, but woman for the man. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is man independent of woman, nor woman independent of man in the Lord. For as woman came man, even so man also comes through woman, but all things are from God. Judge among yourselves. Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a dishonor to him? But if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given to her for a covering. But if anyone seems to be contentious, we have no such custom, nor do the churches of God. Conduct at the Lord's Supper. Now, in giving these instructions, I do not praise you, since you come together not for the better, but for the worse. For first of all, when you come together as a church, I hear that there are divisions among you, and in part I believe it. For there must also be factions among you, that those who are approved may be recognized among you. Therefore, when you come together in one place, it is not to eat the Lord's Supper. For in eating, each one takes his own supper ahead of others, and one is hungry and another is drunk. What? Do you not have houses to eat and drink in, or do you despise the church of God and shame those who have nothing? What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I do not praise you. Institution of the Lord's Supper. For I received from the Lord that which I also delivered to you, that the Lord Jesus, on the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread. And when he had given thanks, he broke it and said, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same manner, he also took the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood. This do as often as you drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death till he comes. Examine yourself, Therefore, whoever eats this bread or drinks this cup of the Lord in an unworthy manner will be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of the bread and drink of the cup. For he who eats and drinks in an unworthy manner eats and drinks judgment to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this reason, many are weak and sick among you, and many sleep. For if we would judge ourselves, we would not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened by the Lord, that we may not be condemned with the world. Therefore, my brethren, when you come together to eat, wait for one another. But if anyone is hungry, let him eat at home, lest you come together for judgment. And the rest I will set in order when I come. Chapter 12. Spiritual gifts, unity in diversity. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I do not want you to be ignorant. You know that you were Gentiles carried away to these dumb idols, however you were led. Therefore, I make known to you that no one speaking by the Spirit of God calls Jesus accursed, and no one can say that Jesus is Lord except by the Holy Spirit. There are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are differences of ministries, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of activities, but it is the same God who works all in all. But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to each one for the profit of all. For to one is given the word of wisdom through the Spirit, to another the word of knowledge through the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healings by the same Spirit, to another the work of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another different kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues. But one and the same Spirit works all these things, distributing to each one individually as he wills. Unity and diversity in one body. For as the body is one and has many members, but all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ. For by one Spirit we were all baptized into one body, whether Jews or Greeks, whether slaves or free, and have all been made to drink into one Spirit. For in fact, the body is not one member, but many. If the foot should say, because I am not a hand, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, I am not of the body, is it therefore not of the body? If the whole body were an eye, where would be the hearing? If the whole were hearing, where would be the smelling? But now God has set the members, each one of them, in the body just as he pleased. And if they were all one member, where would the body be? But now indeed there are many members, yet one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. No, much rather those members of the body which seem to be weaker are necessary. And those members of the body which we think to be less honorable, on these we bestow greater honor, and our unpresentable parts have greater modesty. Our unpresentable parts have greater modesty, but our presentable parts have no need. But God composed the body, having given greater honor to that part which lacks it, that there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care for one another. And if one member suffers, all the members suffer with it, or if one member is honored, all the members rejoice with it. Now you are the body of Christ and members individually, and God has appointed these in the church. First apostles, second prophets, third teachers, after that miracles, then gifts of healing, helps, administrations, varieties of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles? Do all have gifts of healings? Do all speak with tongues? Do all interpret? But earnestly desire the best gifts, and yet I show you a more excellent way. The greatest gift. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I have become sounding brass of a clanging cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. But whether there are prophecies, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, then that which is in part will be done away. When I was a child, I spoke as a child and understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know just as I also am known. And now abide in faith, hope, love, these three. But the greatest of these is love. I think I want to go ahead and stop there until Monday. I want to also, for those who came in maybe a little bit later, I want to put up the link again for you, that if you missed it, you want to go back and hear the Pastor Hibbs service from the other night. The message was amazing, something that you should hear. It's incredible. Give Susan some love and hit that like button. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So again, I pass that message along to everybody. Everybody needs to hear that. Everybody needs to know what's coming. And, I think Jack, like many of us, feel that he is a watchman. And as a pastor, he certainly is a watchman and should be telling his church. And his church goes beyond the doors, I believe, of Calvary Chapel into all the Christians all over the world. And they need to hear it. Judy said, please watch that sermon. You won't regret it. It was absolutely amazing. And again, it's there for you. I've just put the link up. So anyway, I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope you will share this with everyone. And anybody have any questions or anything? Hey, Renee. Thank you, Susan. God bless you. God bless you too, Renee. God bless everybody. President Trump is going to be speaking on Sunday at CPAC. If you want to hear it, I'm late today cleaning Mom's apartment. It's okay, Ron. We're just glad you're here. Thank you. And God bless you, Susan. Thank you, Judy. All right, everybody. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Go out and be free this weekend, and as free as you can, right? Until Monday,